After my rebirth, I gave the 5-carat diamond ring my husband gave me to my wicked mother-in-law, who made my life a living hell every single day. In my past life, my husband had a diamond ring custom-made for me at a cost of millions, presenting it as my New Year's gift. However, while I was out shopping, I ran into a bridal party. The bride took one look at the ring on my finger and her face turned ashen with rage. She slapped me right then and there, calling me a homewrecker who was trying to steal her husband. I was horrified to see she was wearing the same ring as me. Before I could even ask, they tore off my clothes and beat me. They crushed my hands under their feet, carved the word mistress on my face, dragged me through the streets, and finally tortured me to death. When my husband finally arrived, he signed a letter of forgiveness. No sooner was he a widower than he married his new bride and registered their marriage. My mother-in-law also showered the new bride with endless affection because she was pregnant. When I woke up again, I had gone back to the day my husband gave me the diamond ring. Lazy and useless all day, and after all these years, still no sign of a baby, yet you have no shame accepting a gift worth millions. My mother-in-law's face was cold and her tone dripping with sarcasm, while my husband, Gu Xuanqing, was slipping a sparkling 5-carat diamond ring onto my finger. A jolt shot through me. Staring at my hand, now adorned with the perfectly intact ring, I realized I had been reborn. In my past life, Gu Xuanqing spent millions to commission a diamond ring from a world-renowned jewelry designer as my New Year's gift. When he gave it to me, my mother-in-law stood by, sneering and making sarcastic remarks just like this. She called me a gilded phoenix that only hoards gold but can't lay a single egg. I patiently explained to her that Gu Xuanqing and I were still planning for a pregnancy. With the company being so busy, we wouldn't be having a child for the time being, but we definitely would in the future. Besides, given the scale of the company we've built, a New Year's gift worth 10 million is nothing to Gu Xuanqing. The gifts he buys for his mother every year are several times that amount. But my mother-in-law didn't want to hear any of it. In her eyes, failing to bear a son for the Gu family was a grave offense, and she would never find fault with her precious son, so she directed all her nitpicking at me. As for Gu Xuanqing, that paragon of filial piety, he would never dare to contradict his mother. He'd only ever tell me afterwards not to take it to heart. He even told me to go buy a gift for my mother-in-law, saying we shouldn't let things get unpleasant during the New Year festivities. Left with no choice, I had to head out to the mall to pick out a gift for her, but to my surprise, I ran into a bridal party at the mall. The bride, encircled by her entourage, emerged in her exquisite wedding gown, moving with the haughty grace of a white swan. I had only glanced at her a couple of times, but as we passed each other, she called out to me. She grabbed my hand to inspect the ring on my finger, and then suddenly slapped me hard across the face. She screamed that I was a shameless homewrecker who had seduced her husband. I noticed the identical ring on her finger, and my mind went completely blank, stunned. Before I could even utter a word, the bride and her bridesmaids closed in around me. They tore off my clothes right then and there, beating and kicking me, and slapped me over a dozen times. I kept begging them to stop, pleading that there must have been some terrible mistake. The bride ground the sharp heel of her stiletto into the back of my hand, sneering coldly. What possible misunderstanding could there be? This ring was custom-made for me by my husband, one of a kind in the whole world. If you weren't the other woman, how could you possibly have it? My hand was crushed under her heel, all 10 fingers a bloody, mangled mess, fused to the ring. Then, with a small knife, the bride carved the words homewrecker into my face. Before grabbing me by the hair and dragging me from the mall out into the street, since you're so good at seducing men, I'll put you to work. That should keep you too busy to go after my husband. With a smile that was both innocent and cruel, she threw me into a crowd of beggars and watched as I was tortured to death. By the time Gu Xuanqing arrived, he merely glanced at my corpse before signing the letter of forgiveness, and just like that, everyone responsible for my death was pardoned. I just found out that the bride's name is Yao Shui, Gu Xuanqing's one true love. Before my body was even cremated, Gu Xuanqing walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau with Yao Shui in her wedding dress to register their marriage, followed by a lavish wedding ceremony. And because Yao Shui was already pregnant, even my mother-in-law was all smiles, praising her for getting rid of me and for giving the Gu family a grandson. Thinking about all this makes me want to skin them alive and tear them apart. But the very next moment, I broke into a radiant smile, deftly slipped the ring off my finger, and placed it on my mother-in-law's hand. You're absolutely right, Mom, this ring looks much better on you, too. My mother-in-law was taken aback. eyeing me with a mixture of surprise and suspicion. What's with the sudden change of heart? You're not up to something, are you? Gu Xuanqing was also taken aback and asked me in confusion, Shiwei, didn't you just say you really liked it? My smile unwavering, I took my mother-in-law's hand and said earnestly, you know, I think Mom has a point. The gifts we've given before were a bit too modest. Why don't we give this ring to her instead? But I had this ring custom-made just for you. It's one of a kind in the whole world. Before he could finish, his mother cut in impatiently, doesn't it look good on me? Your wife already said she wants me to have it. If you really want to give her something, just have another one made for her. I chimed in, exactly, because it's one of a kind. It's all the more reason to give it to Mom. If a second, identical one were to appear, it would lose all its value. Don't you agree, Xuanqing? I looked at him with a beaming smile. Gu Xuanqing's expression stiffened slightly, and he paused for 2 seconds before speaking. What are you talking about? Of course the one I gave you is unique. There will absolutely not be a second one. He grew restless, made an excuse, and hurried away. The mother-in-law held the ring up to the sunlight, admiring it with great satisfaction. She shot me a sidelong glance. Don't think a ring is going to get you off the hook. Go make dinner. And no slacking off. I agreed, then added, Mom, a ring this beautiful is no fun to admire alone. Why don't we post it online to share with everyone? Although my mother-in-law was getting on in years, she hadn't lifted a finger since Gu Xuanqing made his fortune. Living a life of leisure, she looked a good 10 years younger than her actual age. I took a photo of my mother-in-law, making sure to get her face in the shot. I couldn't help but chuckle as I watched her eagerly post the picture to her social media account. Back in my room, I searched online for pictures of that ring. Sure enough, on a foreign social media platform, I found a recent post by a travel blogger that featured a close-up of the exact same ring. This blogger is Gu Xuanqing's White Moonlight, Yao Shui, and her account handle is still Shuang Shui, Frost Snow. I clicked into her profile and scrolled through it with a blank expression. Yao Shui travels abroad year-round, posting travel vlogs and content flaunting her relationship. According to her, all her travel and living expenses are covered by her husband, and this ring is a custom piece he gifted her. I opened Gu Xuanqing's business trip records and cross-referenced them with Yao Shui's travel timeline. Hawaii in July, France in August, Italy in November. Every single one matched up, so every time he went abroad for work, he was actually going to be with his one true love. Gu Xuanqing and I have been married for years. We started with nothing together, and we didn't even have a proper wedding back then. Now he still refuses to make our relationship public. Hiding behind the excuse that as company leaders, we shouldn't set a bad example by influencing the workplace culture. Yet, when I was pulling all-nighters for the company's growth, drinking myself to the point of a stomach ulcer to secure deals, or waking up with a splitting hangover with no one by my side, Gu Xuanqing was lying in someone else's bed, whispering sweet nothings to another woman. After much back and forth, an anonymous account privately messaged the photos posted by his mother to Yao Shui. I cleared my browsing history and closed the laptop. When Gu Xuanqing came home that evening, I casually mentioned that I thought I'd seen a diamond ring online that looked just like the one his mother wears. His face instantly fell, and he asked me nervously where I had seen it. I said offhandedly, it was just a quick glimpse in some video. I couldn't find it again. A visible wave of relief washed over him as he brushed me off, saying, you must have seen wrong. With that, he made an excuse about work and walked out to the balcony to make a call. I watched his retreating figure, my gaze turning completely icy. 3. Not long after, when I checked Yao Shui's social media again, I noticed she had deleted the close-up shot of the ring, but that's fine. I'm sure the memory of that ring is now even more deeply etched in her mind than before. I topped up a shopping mall membership card and gave it to my mother-in-law. Mom, I also saw a newly released piece from this major brand. It would go perfectly with the ring. I heard Mrs. Wang and Mrs. Li have already made appointments to go buy it. These two and the mother-in-law are always competing with each other, both openly and in subtle ways. Just the other day, they were showing off their new clothes and handbags, dripping with jewels and finery. The mother-in-law was fuming with jealousy, but now that she could score a point, she immediately broke into a smile. At least you know your place. What makes you think you deserve such nice things? You might as well just give them all to me. But it's only available in limited quantities at the counter. It might be gone by tomorrow. My mother-in-law instantly grew tense. I checked my watch. The timing was perfect. If we go now, we'll definitely get there before they do. There's 5 million in the membership card, Mom, spend it however you like. If it's not enough, we can just charge it to the supplementary card. Of course, these were all Gu Xuanqing's cards. I wasn't about to be the one left footing the bill. By the time Gu Xuanqing walked through the door, all he saw was me in the kitchen, making congee. He instinctively frowned. Why are you making century egg congee again? Mom doesn't like them. Didn't we agree not to cook that at home? Without looking up, I took a sip to check the seasoning. Mom went out to buy clothes. It's a limited edition luxury piece, only 10 available. She'll miss out if she's late. He probably remembered the ring his mother-in-law wore, and his tone softened. Shiwei, I just want a grandchild so badly that I spoke too harshly. Besides the ring, what else do you want? I'll buy it for you. Once we get through this busy period and the company goes public, you can stay home and prepare for pregnancy. Just give me a grandson, I smiled and said, you'll have one soon enough. I won't need to do a thing. The grandson she's been dreaming of is probably watching her get beaten right now. Gu Xuanqing's phone rang before they could even finish a sentence. Just as he was about to answer it, the call disconnected. That's strange. Why would Mom call and hang up? And now she's not picking up when I call back. He tried calling his mother-in-law back repeatedly, but no one ever answered. I remembered my past life, when I also tried to call Gu Xuanqing, just like now. Yao Shui smashed my phone before the call could even connect. Gu Xuanqing, however, was completely unfazed, as if the call wasn't from his wife but from a total stranger. Unable to get through, Gu Xuanqing grew anxious and turned to leave, heading out to find his mother. I didn't stop him. I leisurely finished my bowl of congee before finally leaving for the mall. The traffic is terrible at this hour. I took the subway and actually arrived earlier than Gu Xuanqing, who drove. The mall was packed with people, yet no one dared to step forward and stop the spectacle. Yao Shui was already leading her mother-in-law out onto the street. She was dressed in a snow-white wedding gown, with her bridesmaids forming a formidable protective circle around her. As for the old woman, her clothes had been stripped clean off, and her hands were left with 2 bloody trails from being dragged. She was on the brink of death, unable to utter a single word. I did not step forward, but waited, blending into the crowd. Before long, Gu Xuanqing arrived. He hadn't expected to see Yao Shui here either, and a flicker of panic crossed his face, but Yao Shui had already thrown herself into his arms, beaming with a radiant smile. Honey, are you here to pick me up? I was planning to surprise you, but you found me out. Gu Xuanqing's expression was somewhat strained. Xiao Shui, what brings you back so suddenly? With a radiant smile, Yao Shui took Gu Xuanqing's hand and placed it on her lower abdomen. Can't you tell from the wedding dress I'm wearing? I was supposed to marry you happily today, but I caught that bitch trying to ruin our relationship. I'm so furious. Darling, you have to take responsibility for me and the little one in my belly. Gu Xuanqing was about to look at his mother-in-law lying on the floor again, but her words captured his attention, and he eagerly pressed for more details. Overjoyed, Yao Shui pouted coquettishly, shaking the ring on her finger. Look how hard I'm working to carry your baby, and you give me a ring that other people have too. You'd better make it up to me. Gu Xuanqing's smile froze. What did you say? It's her. That homewrecker is wearing the same ring as me. How dare she? He lunged forward, dropping to his knees, and with trembling hands reached for the ring hanging from the old woman's mangled finger. Buying limited edition luxury items, who knows where that money even came from? Disgusting. Yao Shui's tone was dripping with contempt, yet when she looked at the old woman, her expression was one of smug triumph. The next instant, Gu Xuanqing raised his hand. A sharp slap landed squarely on Yao Shui's face. The force of the blow snapped Yao Shui's head to the side, her cheek instantly swelling up. Her eyes widened in shock, clutching her face. Tears welled up in her eyes instantly. Darling, why did you hit me? Have you really fallen for this other woman? How could you be so cruel to me for her sake? Gu Xuanqing ignored her and took out his phone to call an ambulance. Unexpectedly, Yao Shui stepped forward, slapped his phone to the ground, and shrieked her accusation. You still want to save that bitch? Gu Xuanqing, who do you really love? You're not going anywhere until you make it clear. I chuckled to myself. Yao Shui thought Gu Xuanqing was ignoring her, but the truth was, he was just holding back. That man is all about saving face. Being publicly accused by Yao Shui of having a mistress was already a huge blow to his pride. Now, with this interrogation, he simply didn't want to make an even bigger, more humiliating scene in front of everyone. But his phone clattering to the floor, that was the final straw that ignited his fury. Gu Xuanqing kicked Yao Shui hard, sending her sprawling to the ground. Get away from me. Yao Shui had probably never seen Gu Xuanqing act this way toward her before. Frightened, with tears welling in her eyes, she quickly changed her tune. Darling, why are you treating me like this? My stomach hurts so much. What if something's wrong with our baby? Wah. As expected, the mention of a child made Gu Xuanqing freeze in his tracks. The Gu family really is obsessed with having heirs. Gu Xuanqing glared darkly at Yao Shui. Behave yourself and stop causing trouble here. With that, he turned and went to lift the elderly woman lying on the ground, then called for an ambulance. Yao Shui didn't dare to touch him again, but she was still sobbing and pleading. Why do you care about her so much? You even gave her a ring worth millions. What on earth am I to you? I could clearly see a vein throbbing on Gu Xuanqing's forehead. Shut your mouth, he snapped at Yao Shui. Then, perhaps because his mother-in-law had woken up, he quickly lowered his head and shouted, Mom, are you okay? Yao Shui finally fell silent, her mouth slightly agape, her whole body frozen still. How is this possible? It took her a long moment to finally realize the truth. Her face paled dramatically, and regret was written all over it. Sobbing, she knelt beside Gu Xuanqing. Honey, I didn't know it was your mother. I had no idea. You said you only had one ring custom made for me, to symbolize our eternal love. That's why I thought she was the other woman. I didn't mean to. Gu Xuanqing snapped angrily. So you're saying this is my fault now? Yao Shui quickly said. No, it's more than that. Someone sent me a photo of your mother online. It was what she said that made me misunderstand. I really didn't mean to. As she spoke, she pulled out her phone. I knew exactly what she was looking at. I was the one who watched my mother-in-law post that status update, a 5-carat diamond ring from my darling baby. It's so beautiful. Anyone would think it was a gift between lovers. Who could have guessed that the darling baby she mentioned was her own son, who's nearly 30? The mother-in-law weakly raised her hand, pointing at Yao Shui, her breath faint. You bitch, how dare you hit me? I'll make sure you die a horrible death, son. You have to avenge me. Gu Xuanqing's expression grew even darker as he stared coldly at Yao Shui. Can you stop being so paranoid? My mom just made a casual post, and you beat her up like this. 5. Yao Shui wept even more bitterly, her expression one of utter despair. I'm sorry, Xuanqing. I truly didn't know. It was my fault. Please forgive me. For the sake of the child I'm carrying, won't you forgive me just this once? How could you bear the thought of our child being denied happiness before it's even born? It was only because she was pregnant that Yao Shui was able to stay put, but right now, Gu Xuanqing was too furious, his anger still directed at her. Just then, the ambulance arrived. Gu Xuanqing immediately helped his mother-in-law inside and sped away. Yao Shui was left behind, her wedding gown already caked in mud and torn in several places, covered in grime. She chased desperately after the ambulance, screaming for them to wait, but no one spared her a glance. Only distant onlookers whispered amongst themselves. Most of her bridesmaids had already scattered, afraid of being caught in the fallout. Yao Shui was left alone, shouting and yelling. A one-woman show held little appeal, and soon even the rubberneckers drifted away. I followed the crowd and left. The moment I opened my front door, I received a call from Gu Xuanqing. His voice was grim. He said my mother-in-law was seriously injured and told me to pack some essentials and go to the hospital to take care of her. I asked in shock. What happened? Was Mom attacked? Whoever did this must be caught and made to pay. Gu Xuanqing snapped impatiently. It's none of your business. Stay out of it and just get to the hospital to take care of Mom. I persisted, showing genuine concern. She's my mother-in-law. Of course it's my business. Tell me who hurt her right now. I'm going to make them pay. Gu Xuanqing took a few ragged breaths before he could speak again. I've already dealt with those people. You should hurry to the hospital. I scoffed inwardly, but I agreed to go anyway. After taking my time getting to the hospital, I wiped my face outside the ward, then put on a mask of anger and worry before rushing in, seeing my mother-in-law wrapped up like a mummy on the hospital bed. I fought back a smile and rushed to her bedside. Mom, how did you get beaten up so badly? That must hurt so much. Who on earth did this to you? It's absolutely outrageous. Gu Xuanqing quickly pulled me aside and whispered, Mom's asleep, don't wake her. I stared at him with a stern expression, my voice sharp as I demanded, Gu Xuanqing, who on earth did this to Mom? I swear, I'll make them pay in kind. Gu Xuanqing's face darkened. Of course, he couldn't give up Yao Shui. So he could only try to fob me off. I'll handle this matter. Stay out of it. I was about to say something else when an elderly man in the ward called out to me, Young lady, are you her daughter? Without hesitation, I replied, she's my mother-in-law, I'm her daughter-in-law. The old man's expression changed. He gave us a complicated look, his gaze lingering especially on Gu Xuanqing. He handed me his phone. Take a look. Your husband's been cheating on you. And the other woman even hit your mother-in-law. After saying that, he muttered under his breath, what a piece of work. I looked at it. Wasn't this the video of Yao Shui hitting someone at the mall today? It's already trending on the local hot search list. I turned to Gu Xuanqing in disbelief, my face a picture of hurt. Gu Xuanqing, is this true? You've been cheating on me behind my back, and your mistress is even pregnant. Gu Xuanqing furrowed his brow, not yet saying a word. I shouted even louder, all these years we've been married, you kept putting it off, saying you didn't want children. Turns out it wasn't that you didn't want them, you just wanted to have them with another woman. His face darkened. Calm down, that homewrecker is at our door, wearing a wedding dress. Is she here to marry you? How am I supposed to calm down? I shoved the phone right in his face, grabbed him, and slapped him hard several times. Gu Xuanqing, you scumbag. I hope you die a horrible death. 6. I held nothing back, seizing the chance to vent my pent-up rage as I swung at Gu Xuanqing with all my might. Gu Xuanqing had finally had enough and shoved me back. Have you lost your mind? Ning Shiwei, this is a hospital. Can you please act like a normal person? I slapped him again. How dare you push me? You cheated and you still have the nerve to act like this. Look at who beat your mother like this. And you're ignoring her life and death for some mistress. A small crowd had gathered around the hospital room, drawn by the commotion, whispering among themselves. Someone recognized Gu Xuanqing as the man who was seen arguing with Yao Shui at the mall. Others even pointed him out as the company's CEO. Whispering and gesturing, Gu Xuanqing's face turned ashen, and he retorted through gritted teeth, this is all your fault. If you hadn't given the ring to Mom, she wouldn't have been mistaken for someone else and beaten up like this. I let out a bitter laugh, picked up the ring from the bedside table, and said loudly, how dare you bring that up? Your mother has had it in for me every single day, finding every possible way to make things difficult. Why did I give her the ring? It was because she was yelling at me over it again, and you didn't say a single word in my defense. You were right there when I handed it to her, and you didn't stop me. You must think I'm not good enough for the ring you gave me. 2. Your poor mother was beaten to a pulp by that homewrecker, and her own son is still protecting the culprit. After all the years she spent raising you, this is how you repay her. At this point, everyone in the crowd looked at Gu Xuanqing with utter contempt, as if he were the most ungrateful and despicable son imaginable. Gu Xuanqing, knowing he was completely in the wrong, grew increasingly agitated. What was I supposed to do? Yao Shui is pregnant, she's carrying my child. Of course I couldn't lay a hand on him. I saw red. I hurled the ring at him with all my strength, then slapped him twice, hard. And why is she pregnant? Because you cheated. Divorce. Gu Xuanqing, I want a divorce. Marrying someone like you was the worst mistake of my life. Gu Xuanqing fled as if his life depended on it. I chased after him, cursing all the way down the hallway before finally returning to the hospital room. The elderly man in the next bed comforted me, saying there are plenty of good men out there. Dump this one, and you can always find someone better. Just as he finished speaking, my mother-in-law finally regained consciousness. The moment she opened her eyes, I threw myself at her bedside and burst into tears. Mom, I can't believe Gu Xuanqing would take a mistress. He even bought her the same diamond ring. And who knows how much money he spent on her. And to let that outsider hit you, you're his own mother. How could he stand by and watch his own flesh and blood suffer for some woman with no name or status? My mother-in-law's eyes widened, her face was bandaged, making her expression hard to read, but the fury in her eyes was unmistakable. That bitch. She tried to lift her hands, but both were broken and completely immobile. I let out a soft sigh and gently held down her hands. Mom, don't worry, I will make sure you get justice. I'm going to sue Yao Shui right now. I'll make sure she goes to prison. My voice grew more resolute and forceful with every word. My mother-in-law, however, hesitated, her voice hoarse as she forced out 2 words. My grandson. I sneered inwardly. That wretched old woman. Of course, her grandson was all she could see. In that case, you can just make each other miserable. I offered a smile and said with understanding, I know you don't like Yao Shui, but you must want a grandson. It's simple to get your revenge. The only reason Yao Shui can be so arrogant and domineering is because Gu Xuanqing gives her money. As long as you keep Gu Xuanqing's money in your own hands, and they have to come to you for every penny they need, do you really think they'll dare disobey you? 7. After I finished speaking, My mother-in-law fell silent for a long while, but judging by the look on her face, I could tell she was already wavering. I then added the final push, Mom, given how disrespectful Yao Shui is towards you, we really need to plan ahead and keep the child close, raising them ourselves, otherwise, what if they grow distant from you later and side with their own mother? My mother-in-law's eyes lit up, looking at me with deep gratitude. Shui, you're the one who truly has my best interests at heart, don't worry, I will never let that woman set foot in this house. The moment the child is born, we'll bring them here and register them under your name. You are the legitimate wife. Xuanqing married properly. What does Yao Shui amount to? A cheap mistress with no class, thinking she can enter my Gu family's home. As she spoke, she grew animated, and even her spirits seemed to lift. With a smile, I added a few more words, and my mother-in-law was already plotting how to get the money from Gu Xuanqing. 2 hours later, I left the hospital feeling quite satisfied and returned to the office. The moment I stepped through the company doors, the atmosphere inside felt distinctly odd. The receptionist approached with a troubled expression and said in a low voice, "Ms. Ning, half an hour ago, a woman claiming to be Mr. Gu's wife, and pregnant with his child, forced her way into the company. We've placed her in the reception room for now." There was no doubt about it, it had to be Yao Shui. Just this morning she'd caused such a scene, and now she had the nerve to follow him here. No wonder the office atmosphere felt so tense. Although Gu Xuanqing and I never made a formal public announcement, most people know we're married. Yao Shui's visit to the company was a deliberate slap in my face. I gave a nod and went straight to the reception room. When I pushed the door open, Yao Shui was still there, nitpicking about how subpar the company's afternoon tea was. The soiled wedding dress had been changed, and all traces of her earlier disheveled state from half a day ago were completely gone. I walked over and sat down across from her. "If you're looking for dessert, Miss Yao, you can head out and turn right. There's a patisserie with an average spend of 1,000 per person. As for our company's afternoon tea, it's for employees only. It's not something just anyone can partake in." Yao Shui narrowed her eyes, looking me up and down. "And who are you? How dare you speak to me in that tone?" I gave her a calm, composed smile. "Ning Shiwei, the company's CEO." Yao Shui curled her lip in disdain. "I don't care who you are, I demand to see your CEO, Gu Xuanqing. I'm his wife, and I'm carrying his child. Tell him to come see me right now." She thrust out her belly in a showy manner, her face beaming with smug satisfaction. "Gu Xuanqing is not in the office." Before she could even frown, I continued, "But I can handle this matter as well." I pulled up the backup photo of my marriage certificate on my phone, my tone calm. "Gu Xuanqing is my lawful spouse, yet you claim he's your husband. I could sue him for bigamy." Yao Shui's expression shifted, her gaze snapping back to me as she scrutinized me more intently. "So it's you. You'd better watch your tone. What does your marriage license matter? I'm the one carrying Gu Xuanqing's son. How could a flimsy piece of paper possibly be more important than a son?" With a haughty look, she thrust her pregnant belly forward more prominently. "I can let it slide that you've monopolized Gu Xuanqing all these years, but now that I'm back, you should return him to me. If you know what's good for you, you'll divorce him immediately and get lost." I let out a derisive snort. "First of all, getting an abortion is easy. Getting a divorce is hard. The sheer amount of assets involved is staggering. Second, the child you're carrying hasn't even been born yet. Who's to say if it's a boy or a girl? Third, and even if we entertain that possibility, how can you guarantee the child will be born safely, let alone prove it's truly a Gu by blood?" Yao Shui, even if you are carrying Gu Xuanqing's child, I have 1,000 ways to make you regret it. For some reason, Yao Shui's expression suddenly darkened, and she fixed me with a venomous glare. "Just you wait, you haven't seen the last of me." With that, she hurriedly left the office. I watched her retreating figure thoughtfully, then summoned my secretary and instructed her to look into Yao Shui's activities abroad. Also, it's time to start reeling in the net on that matter we discussed earlier. 8. After dealing with Yao Shui, things were quiet for a few days. Then, a few days later, when Gu Xuanqing showed up again, the first thing out of his mouth was a demand for a divorce. I couldn't help but laugh. I have no idea how Yao Shui managed it, but she actually convinced him to ask me for a divorce himself. I asked him, "Does your mother know you want to divorce me to marry Yao Shui?" Gu Xuanqing seemed to be going through a belated rebellious phase and said coldly, "She'll understand. This is my marriage. I'm the one who has to live with the person for the rest of my life, so I get to choose." I agreed on the spot and signed without hesitation. Gu Xuanqing took the divorce papers. "Since we're divorced now, It'd be best if you moved out quickly, that place will be home to me and Xiaoxue from now on. I asked him to leave, right then and there. No need to worry, I finished moving everything a while ago. After all that, I went to the hospital. My mother-in-law's wounds have mostly healed, but her hands and feet are completely useless now. From now on, she'll be confined to a wheelchair. And her hands will only be capable of the most basic movements. I tucked the blanket around her and let out a long, weary sigh. Mom, Gu Shuangqing is dead set on divorcing me. Yao Shui is even threatening me with the baby in her belly. I had to agree. Just to help you keep your grandson, you'll have to take care of yourself from now on. I won't be able to visit you anymore. Furious, my mother-in-law slammed the table and cursed Gu Shuangqing for defying her. That bitch Yao Shui. How dare she hurt my grandson? She's going to pay for this. When I finally got the divorce certificate, I couldn't help but let out a laugh. Gu Shuangqing's face darkened. Ning Shiwei, are you that happy to be rid of me? Without my backing, you'll be ousted from the company in no time. I gave him a meaningful look. Is that so? Right back at you. I left without another word, and Gu Shuangqing married Yao Shui right on my heels. This time, they didn't make a big fuss or announce it to the world. But I kept a close watch. Yao Shui's belly grew more prominent by the day, and she would show up at the company every so often just to provoke me. Just as I was about to lose my patience, Yao Shui finally gave birth, yet, this child became her worst nightmare. To everyone's shock, the baby had a pair of blue eyes. Rumor has it that when Gu Shuangqing saw the child, he almost dropped it to its death. He immediately took the child for a paternity test, and sure enough, it wasn't his. I wasn't the least bit surprised. I had looked into it before and found out Yao Shui had several partners overseas. She claimed Gu Shuangqing was the father without even getting a test. She was clearly trying to make him the fall guy. The irony was, she thought she was carrying an Asian baby, but the Chinese father was actually mixed race. The child was born with recessive traits that skipped a generation. I had been considering telling Gu Shuangqing about this, but now I don't have to bother. The child was the linchpin holding the delicate balance between the three members of the Gu family. With that balance now shattered, Yao Shui faced intense rejection, yet, she stubbornly refused to grant a divorce, which infuriated Gu Shuangqing so much that he took the matter to court. Just as he was about to give Yao Shui a piece of his mind, he realized the money in his account was nearly gone. Gu Shuangqing found me, his face livid with anger. Did you pull something at the company? Why is all my money gone? I smiled and handed a document to him. Gu Shuangqing, by unanimous vote of the company's senior leadership, you are no longer deemed suitable to serve as our CEO. Gu Shuangqing looked as if he had just heard a joke. Ning Shiwei, you're just a CEO who climbed the ladder because of me. What gives you the right to kick me out? I rolled my eyes. Use your head. After all these years building this company with you, do you really think my title as CEO is just for show? Gu Shuangqing, underestimating a woman is the biggest mistake you'll ever make, he said through gritted teeth. Even if you fire me, I still hold shares. Don't think you can have it all your own way. I turned my gaze to him, perfectly composed. Really? You still have shares in your possession? He opened his phone, and his face suddenly turned deathly pale. Gu Shuangqing had previously liquidated shares to satisfy Yao Shui's demands, and later, he even handed all that money over to his mother-in-law. It was much easier to get money out of her than from Gu Shuangqing. Gu Shuangqing finally caught on. You planned this all along. You did it on purpose. I chuckled lightly as I ushered him out of the company's main entrance. Take care on your way out. If you're thinking of filing for divorce, I can actually recommend a few lawyers. A small referral fee would suffice. In the end, Gu Shuangqing stormed off with a face like thunder. I later heard that Gu Shuangqing ended up taking the matter to court. Yao Shui agreed to divorce him, but secretly transferred what little assets he had left, then took their child abroad to join the child's biological father. His mother, already frail, suffered a stroke from the shock of it all. Without timely medical care, she died of sheer rage, failing to recover his assets and having lost his only remaining family. Gu Shuangqing simply vanished without a trace. I saw him again in the news. He actually chased Yao Shui abroad for revenge. A shootout ensued, and they both died. I scrolled past this somewhat absurd ending without much thought. The secretary knocked and entered. Mr. Ning, here is the schedule for the company's IPO celebration banquet. Please take a look. I flipped through it, closed the file, and said, let's go with this plan. End of text. Story 2. The weather was splendid, and it was a joyous occasion for the Fu family of the South. All the prominent figures in H City had gathered together. dressed in my wedding gown. I walked in slowly. At the same time, a girl in a pink wedding dress appeared on the other side, walking in sync with me toward Knox Fu. I recognized her at a glance. She was none other than Knox's sister, the adopted daughter of the Fu family, Thea Fu. In my shock, I had no idea what she was up to. As we both reached Knox Fu simultaneously, he too frowned at Thea Fu. Thea Fu glanced at me, her eyes swollen and red, crying as she said, "Brother, the doctor told me I only have 1 month left to live. Seeing you and sister get married, I'm so envious. I might never get to wear a wedding dress in my lifetime. Brother, today I want to borrow your wedding to wear a wedding dress just once." As soon as she finished speaking, I understood everything in my heart. Thea Fu's intentions were obvious to anyone with eyes. What did she mean by borrowing our wedding to wear a wedding dress? I knew Thea Fu liked Knox Fu. I had always known, but I never expected her to make such a scene on my wedding day. After the initial shock, Knox Fu's parents immediately stepped onto the stage, trying to pull Thea Fu down. Thea Fu, however, cried out, "Mom, Dad, I want a grand wedding like this too." Our wedding was indeed grand. I knew that well, as every detail had been meticulously arranged by me. The Fu and Nan families are among the top elite families in City H. Thea Fu timidly stood behind Knox Fu, who reached out to shield her. At this moment, my heart felt as if it had been pricked by something, aching intensely. Thea Fu cast a pitiful gaze toward me. "Sister, you wouldn't mind, would you? I just want to wear a wedding dress at your wedding. I have no ulterior motives. Could you treat me as your bridesmaid?" Before I could speak, my bridesmaid Bai Yao Yao rushed out in large strides, pointing at Thea Fu. She yelled, "Are you out of your mind? Today is your brother and my best friend's wedding. What are you doing wearing a wedding dress on stage? Have you no shame?" Thea Fu was scolded to tears by Bai Yao Yao and hid behind Knox Fu with a pitiful look. Bai Yao Yao was so angry that she grabbed my hand. I knew she wanted to comfort me, though Bai Yao Yao is carefree. I know everything she does is for my good. When we were kids, Bai Yao Yao pushed me hard and hurt me. Just as I was about to complain, she collapsed to the ground. It turned out there was a small snake. If Bai Yao Yao hadn't pushed me away, I would have been the one bitten by the snake. Thea Fu looked at me again. "Sister, please don't be angry, okay? I wore a wedding dress today, even though I couldn't exchange rings with my brother like a bride. I'm already very satisfied. I won't regret it even if I die." Hearing this, Knox Fu frowned. "Thea, don't talk nonsense." Thea Fu forced a smile. "Brother, you don't need to comfort me. I know I'm about to die, late-stage cancer. The doctor said I only have a month left." I interrupted them. "Thea Fu, get the hell out of my wedding right now." My words seemed to strike Thea Fu like a physical blow, causing her to stagger back as if about to collapse. Until Knox Fu caught her in his arms, he scolded me angrily. "Thea is delicate. Mind your tone." A sharp blade seemed to pierce my heart. I had long known Knox Fu was biased, but even on our wedding day, he still took Thea Fu's side. "I am the one who will spend the rest of my life with him." Knox Fu's next words completely dashed my hopes. "Knox Fu, Thea is sick. It's the same if you let her have your wedding." Bai Yao Yao was so angry she was about to start cursing again, but I stopped her. My eyes filled with disappointment. I asked him, "Knox Fu, do you know what day it is today?" Knox Fu replied indifferently, "I know, it's just a wedding, right? If you feel wronged, we can always have another one later." The phrase "have another one" made my heart turn to ashes. Knox Fu, are you too full of yourself, thinking my love for you is an endless, inexhaustible stream? I'm also made of flesh and blood. I can feel pain too. Do you know that? Knox Fu, what if I say I don't agree? How ridiculous. Today is my wedding day. Yet I become the one who has to compromise. Seeing this scene, Thea Fu stood up from Knox Fu's embrace, staggered over to me, and bowed deeply. "I'm sorry, sister, I was too willful. I'm sorry, will you forgive me?" I kept a cold face and didn't speak. Seeing my silence, Thea Fu also refused to lift her head. Knox Fu pulled her up and looked at me with displeasure. "Ren Nan, what exactly do you want?" "Thea just wanted to wear a wedding dress for show. Don't go too far." I couldn't hold back anymore. I completely exploded. "Me, going too far? What exactly have I done that's too far?" "Knox Fu, today is our wedding, and she's dressed more extravagantly than me, the bride. It's obvious she's trying to be the other woman, the mistress, understand? Your dear Thea has ulterior motives." Thea Fu and Knox Fu both stared at me in shock. No one had expected me, always so docile, to erupt like this. After all, I was Knox Fu's 100% devoted follower. Knox Fu and I had been in love for 5 years. Everyone called me shameless, saying I clung to him like a leech, forcing him to accept my confession. Today's wedding is, in my personal opinion, what I consider our journey from childhood sweethearts to walking down the aisle. This marathon of love, I've been running for 8 years. 8 years ago, I fell in love with Knox Fu at first sight, though it was also just my one-sided affection. To attend the same university as him, I studied desperately, even ending up in the hospital 3 times from exhaustion, all just to be at the same university as Knox Fu. I finally got my wish. During my freshman year, I successfully pursued Knox Fu, the aloof campus heartthrob. Looking back over these 5 years, it's always been me putting in all the effort, whether I had a fever, got injured, or even got into a car accident. None of it compared to Thea Fu's single sentence, "Brother, I don't feel well." Because Thea Fu complained of a headache, he could leave me alone on a snow-covered road to hail a cab by myself. Because Thea Fu doesn't like spicy food, I followed their lead and ate bland meals for 5 years. Because Thea Fu said, "I like the necklace on my sister." Knox Fu demanded that I give it to her. If I say one more word, I'll be labeled as unreasonable by Knox Fu, petty and calculating. He said Thea is just his sister, and they will be family in the future. On the day of the wedding dress fitting, Knox Fu stood her up, leaving her alone at the bridal shop. I remember clearly that day. I grabbed his hand. I pleaded, "After the fitting, I'll go to the hospital with you, okay? Just 1 hour, it won't take too long." But in the end, all I got from Knox Fu was, "Thea has a headache, be more understanding." I've been through so many things that even I didn't realize my love for Knox Fu had burned out. Every time Thea Fu says she's unwell, Knox Fu leaves my side immediately without exception. Even today, which was supposed to be my wedding day, just because Thea Fu has terminal cancer, he said she should take my place to complete the wedding. This is my wedding. Isn't a wedding all a woman ever desires in her lifetime? Knox Fu's face darkened as he shielded Thea Fu behind him, shouting at me, "Take back your words and apologize to Thea, Ren Nan, apologize right now." Thea Fu sobbed, her body trembling. "So this is how you've always thought of me, sister? I must have misunderstood you. Starting today, I'll leave the Fu family. Brother, let me go. Let me fend for myself," I sneered, taking 2 steps back. "Thea Fu, what are you pretending for? Dare you say you don't like Knox Fu? Is it shameful to covet a brother who isn't related by blood?" Slap. Perhaps even I didn't expect that Knox Fu would actually hit me. That slap completely shattered my delusion that Knox Fu also loved me. Knox Fu looked at his own palm in disbelief, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes as he stepped forward to check on me. I covered my face, took 2 steps back, and looked at him with nothing but intense hatred in my eyes. Knox Fu might have been frightened by this hatred, as he kept apologizing. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you, Ren, I'm sorry." My father wanted to rush forward, but I reached out to stop them. A glint of triumph flashed in Thea Fu's eyes as she quickly stepped forward to grab my hand. "Sister, are you okay? Sister, don't blame brother. He got angry because you said we had a relationship. Brother loves you." I abruptly shook off her hand, and Thea Fu let out a cry as she fell to the ground. Knox Fu immediately bent down to pick her up. "Thea, are you alright? Where does it hurt? Brother, don't blame sister. Hurry and explain to her. We only have a sibling bond." Knox Fu looked up at me, his eyes filled with anger and guilt. That slap woke me up, completely. For the past 5 years, I had been nothing but a joke, the biggest joke of all. Wedding day, the bride getting slapped by the groom in front of everyone. That must be me, and only me. Knox Fu's parents rushed forward, their first instinct being to check on Thea Fu. I knew Thea Fu was the apple of their eye. As for me, they had always looked down on me, simply because I was the one shamelessly pursuing Knox Fu. In their eyes, I became the woman who threw herself at him, automatically overlooking the fact that I was also the eldest daughter of the Nan family. Because of my undignified, spineless efforts to please them, they conveniently ignored this aspect of my identity, always assuming I was madly in love with their son. I am my father's only daughter. When I was 15, my mother passed away, and my father cherished me deeply. He couldn't bear to see me shed a single tear. For 5 years, I followed Knox Fu around, serving tea and water, and cooking meals with my own hands. My father saw it all and it pained his heart. Looking at my round-faced father in the audience, his fists clenched and eyes reddened, I finally realized how terribly wrong I had been these past 5 years. "Ren Nan, what are you doing? You know Thea is not in good health. Why did you push her?" Knox Fu's mother was the one I particularly aimed to please, appearing gentle on the surface but actually the most fond of petty gains. I looked at them coldly. Her poor health is none of my damn business. Everyone, take a good look. Today is my wedding, and she, Thea Fu, the Fu family's adopted daughter, is wearing a wedding dress trying to marry her own brother. Tell me, what kind of woman has the nerve to do that? The scene erupted in uproar. Thea Fu clenched her fists tightly, never expecting Ren Nan to humiliate her in public like this. Standing up, she cried and explained, "No, it's not like that. I just wanted to wear the wedding dress. Sister, please don't misunderstand." Knox Fu frowned and scolded, "Shut up, Ren Nan. If you still want this wedding to happen, apologize right now." Knox Fu's mother chimed in, "A woman like you still wants to marry my son. Kneel down and apologize to my daughter immediately, or there will be no wedding today." Knox Fu tugged at his mother, signaling her to keep quiet. Thea Fu wiped her tears and said pitifully, "It's all my fault. I'll leave right away. Dying alone is the best outcome. Then go die. What does your death have to do with me? Want to wear a wedding dress? Is the damn bridal shop just for show?" Thea Fu looked utterly foolish, and the crowd below began murmuring, "Exactly. Why not just go to a bridal shop if you want to wear a wedding dress? Coming to someone else's wedding like this, clearly just trying to be the other woman, yes, ruining someone else's wedding. No, it's not like that, brother, it's not like that," Thea Fu explained, holding Knox Fu's hand. Knox Fu looked at Ren Nan's swollen and red face, feeling a pang of guilt, but her misunderstanding about him and Thea was absolutely unacceptable. They were family. I coldly stared at the man before me, the man I had loved for 5 years, yet now I couldn't muster even a shred of affection for him. Knox Fu stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. "Stop making a scene. Thea just wants to wear a wedding dress. After all these years together, whether we have a wedding or not doesn't matter. Letting her stand in for you is just the same." I violently shook off his hand and delivered a fierce slap across his face. "Ah, brother, son." Thea Fu and her mother rushed forward, examining their precious son's face. As Knox Fu shook his head, "I accidentally hit you just now. It's only right that you hit me back. Ren, you've always been so sensible. Thea has only this one wish. She might not have much time left." I gave a faint smile, waved my hand, and said, "All right." Seeing my agreement, Knox Fu breathed a sigh of relief. He had feared Ren Nan would refuse, leaving Thea with regrets. Now that Ren has agreed, all is well. Today, I declare that I, Ren Nan, have no relationship with Knox Fu whatsoever. This marriage will not proceed. Whether Knox Fu wishes to marry his sister or someone else is none of my concern. I am calling off the engagement." The words fell like a hammer in the air, causing an uproar among the crowd. Bai Yao Yao excitedly gave me a thumbs up, and I smiled in relief. Knox Fu stepped forward and grabbed my hand. "Ren Nan, what exactly do you want? Thea only has a month left. Can't you just let her have this?" Shaking off his filthy hand, I looked at him with no trace of emotion in my eyes and said, "Let her. What kind of person is she to deserve my respect?" "Ren Nan, Knox Fu, we're breaking up. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." Thea Fu glared at her fiercely, biting her lip, her face pale. My father stepped forward, shielding me behind him, and said coldly to them, "You should have heard my daughter clearly." Knox Fu frowned and threatened, "Don't regret this, Ren Nan." I raised my hand and swore to the heavens. "Ren Nan, I swear to the sky, I will never regret it, and from now on, I will never have the slightest entanglement with Knox Fu." "Knox Fu, you, Ren Nan, there should be limits to your nonsense." Thea Fu came out again at this moment. "It's all my fault, sister. Please don't be angry. I didn't mean to ruin your wedding. I'll leave right away. I'll leave right away." I clearly saw the smugness in Thea Fu's eyes. "My dowry of 1 billion is all being taken back. Dad, send someone to collect my things. The Nan and Fu families will no longer collaborate from now on." Hearing this, the Fu couple's faces instantly turned pale. Both families were wealthy and powerful, not short of money, but the Nan family only had Ren Nan as their one and only daughter. Isn't it all going to be the Fu families in the future? Ren, today was just a misunderstanding. Thea is still young and doesn't know any better. As soon as Knox Fu's mother spoke, she was immediately shut down by my father. "My daughter is a year younger than your Thea. She just enjoys the excitement of weddings, making jokes, and playing around with the idea of having one. She doesn't know any better, so don't take it to heart." Knox Fu's mother's face looked worse than if she had eaten shit. "Thea Fu, I hope you marry your brother soon. No, you can have the wedding today, the guests are all here. Don't waste the atmosphere, keep the music playing, everyone enjoy the food and fun. I, Ren Nan, wish you a happy union for 100 years. After saying that, I lifted my wedding dress and walked out of the wedding hall step by step. Nox Fu wanted to chase after me, but Thea Fu collapsed into his arms. Common tricks, long since taken for granted. Daughter. Dad will definitely find you the most handsome guy. My dad is chubby and looks kind and amiable, but before Mom passed away, he wasn't like this. He was tall and handsome, but after Mom left, he started drinking heavily and overeating. To take care of me, he always stayed at home with me. Gradually, he developed a beer belly, and his face became rounder. His hair also fell out completely. I hugged him, tears streaming down my face. Dad, I only want you. From now on, I don't want anyone else. I want to stay by your side for the rest of my life. My daughter, my good daughter. Thea Fu was rushed to the hospital and woke up shortly after, holding Nox Fu's hand. Brother, you must explain things clearly to sister. I didn't mean it that way, and I don't want to ruin your relationship because of me. Nox Fu nodded, gently stroking her head with a pained expression. He comforted her, saying, Ren is just upset with me. Don't worry, we'll hold the wedding again in a few days. Rest well now. I need to step out for a moment. Thea Fu stared at his retreating figure, clenching her fists tightly, her eyes filled with resentment and unwillingness. Ren Nan, today, you humiliated me, and I will never let you off the hook. Just you wait. Nox Fu made several calls, but all were disconnected. Even his WeChat messages were blocked, leaving him no choice but to frown in frustration. Sitting on the chair, his mother anxiously pulled him and said, Is that girl Ren Nan really going to break up with you? How could she bear to? Mom, stop making trouble. And what were you talking about today? Kneeling. Ren is the eldest daughter of the Nan family. Aren't you slapping the Nan family in the face like this? Scolded by her son, the mother's face instantly turned pale, and she dared not speak another word. Nox Fu thought he would go apologize to Ren Nan the next day. After all, as before, as long as his attitude was good, Ren Nan will surely forgive herself. Thea Fu sent a message to Ren Nan. Sister, please don't misunderstand. It's not what you think between me and brother. Thea Fu, if you have the ability, make Nox Fu marry you. If not, stop pretending in front of me. Ren Nan was so frightened that she immediately dropped her phone, feeling for the first time that Ren Nan was so unfamiliar. Brother. Thea Fu originally wanted to make trouble for Ren Nan, but unexpectedly got threatened by her instead, leaving her fuming with anger. She hurriedly called for Nox Fu, who entered and saw Thea Fu cowering in fear. What's wrong, Thea? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Thea Fu held him tightly. Brother, I'm so scared. I just wanted to explain things clearly to sister, but she said. Nox Fu picked up his phone and saw the glaringly obvious chat conversation between her and Ren Nan. Seeing the line, if you have the guts, get Nox Fu to marry you, made his heart skip a beat. The usually composed Ren Nan would never say such angry words. It seemed she was genuinely upset this time. Don't be afraid, I won't let anyone hurt you. The next day, Nox Fu arrived at the Nan family's residence, but couldn't even get past the front gate. Miss, he's still waiting. Should we chase him away? Looking at the disheveled Nox Fu at the door, I waved my hand dismissively and said with a laugh, if he likes standing there, let him. From now on, don't let him take a single step inside. Nox Fu's parents also took turns calling me, but I blocked each one of them. I burned all the memories related to Nox Fu in a blaze. Watching the roaring flames before me, I felt an indescribable sense of relief. My father works hard every day, and seeing his weary face, I decided to officially join the company to help him. I also have a cousin who works in the company, known as the top executive. Some even regard her as the boss's daughter. This has elevated her status and prestige within the company even further. My sudden arrival shocked the company. When my cousin saw it was me, her smile stiffened for a moment. I used to like Nox Fu, and my cousin Li Xiaoqing kept encouraging me, even giving me a lot of advice. Looking back now, she was actually nurturing my romantic idealism all along. The sudden arrival of an outsider made many people resentful, as they believed only Li Xiaoqing deserved the position. They treated me with feigned compliance. My cousin comforted me, saying, the company staff might just need time to adjust. Cousin, what made you suddenly decide to start working? I brushed aside my hair and confidently said, such a large company is mine, and I must learn to manage it. Hearing this, my cousin's expression darkened slightly, but she still didn't show it. Although many people targeted me, I turned a blind eye and focused on my career. Finally, 5 days later, I signed a major contract, and my capabilities were proven beyond doubt. I am very confident in this regard. Since childhood, I have been learning alongside my parents, who raised me as their successor. She also said she would find a live-in son-in-law in the future. This reminds me of the past 5 years, which were even more humiliating. The moment I presented my academic credentials, I silenced everyone present. After the meeting adjourned, while I was in the restroom, I overheard them saying, "Didn't Sister Xiaoqing say she only graduated from a junior college? Now she's a top student at a prestigious university. No wonder she's secured so many collaborations. Even the boss speaks highly of her, right? Didn't Sister Xiaoqing claim to be the boss's daughter? Is she really? Who knows? She never denied it anyway." Hearing these words, the mystery that had been puzzling me all this time was finally unraveled. It turned out to be my cousin. I encountered Knox Fu again at a banquet, 10 days after the wedding incident. He looked much more haggard, with Thea Fu still clinging to his side like a delicate bird. During these days, he had tried to reach me, but each time the bodyguard stopped him, preventing him from saying even a single word to me. This time, he wouldn't miss the chance. He immediately ran up, grabbed my hand, and said, "Ren, are you still angry? We can hold the wedding again." I shook off his hand and sneered, "Haha, start over, Knox Fu. There's no starting over between us. After 5 years together, every time Thea Fu has the slightest issue, you'd run to her. With a relationship like yours, do you still take me for a fool?" Knox Fu shook his head. "It's not what you think, Ren. Thea and I are family. She's always had poor health, you know that. Tell me, what do I need to do for you to stop being angry, Knox Fu? How dare you think I can't live without you? Do you understand the words break up? Ren Nan, there's a limit to throwing tantrums. You always act like this, and it's really frustrating for me too." Knox Fu's shameless words really made me laugh. I said, "Knox Fu, let me ask you this. We've been together for 5 years. What do I like to eat? What are my dietary restrictions? Tell me." Knox Fu froze, realizing he knew nothing. Seeing Ren Nan's cold, emotionless gaze, he felt something slipping through his fingers, gone beyond his grasp. Ren, our 5-year relationship. Looking at him speechless, I felt even more that my 5 years of sincerity had been wasted on a dog. Thea Fu stepped forward to grab my hand, pleading in a humble tone, "Sister, it's all my fault. Please don't take it out on brother, okay? You two are truly meant for each other." Thea Fu's words made me sick. She was the one who ruined the wedding, and now she's hypocritically saying we're meant for each other. Thea Fu, stop disgusting me, will you? These petty tricks, I've had enough. Ren Nan, the dignified eldest daughter of the Nan family, lack nothing. As for Knox Fu, I truly don't care for him. You can have him." With that, I turned and walked toward the business partners. How could I officially take over the company without building connections? Brother, what if sister misunderstands? It's all because of me, all my fault. I shouldn't even exist in this world. Thea Fu, her eyes red, leaned into Knox Fu's arms and sobbed. Knox Fu felt as if a piece of his heart was missing, comforting Thea Fu that it wasn't her fault. Thea Fu smirked triumphantly at Ren Nan, a look in her eyes. "The matter I asked Dad to investigate has also yielded results. I always suspected Thea Fu's cancer diagnosis was a lie, and after Dad's investigation, it turned out to be a complete scam." I recalled that Thea Fu was diagnosed with cancer shortly after her engagement to Knox Fu. The reason behind it was all too obvious. "Daughter, do you need Dad's help?" I shook my head. "Dad, we don't need to be the bad guys here. Let them reap what they've sown." She would love to see the expression on Knox Fu's face when the sister he kept mentioning ended up sharing a bed with him. Thea Fu, the innocent, kind, fragile, and sickly sister Knox Fu always spoke of. Thea Fu's thoughts are so transparent that anyone can see through them at a glance. Her best friend Bai Yao Yao had reminded her multiple times before, yet she still foolishly defended them like an idiot. Thinking back, it was utterly stupid. A good horse doesn't turn back to graze on old grass. Ren Nan, will never look back. I know Knox Fu's feelings for Thea Fu are merely those of an older brother toward a younger sister. But Thea Fu deliberately exploited this affection to develop favoritism. Now we'll just wait for them to fight among themselves. It's time for me to focus on my career. I've successfully secured several collaborations, proving my capabilities, and the company's perception of me is gradually changing. Indeed, strength is the best way to prove oneself. Li Xiaoqing's gaze at me was filled with resentment. But I still pretended to be friendly with her. Cousin, how about we grab dinner together after work today? Li Xiaoqing was quite surprised by my proactive invitation, but she still agreed to go together. When she saw my father also in the restaurant, a smile instantly appeared on her face, and I smirked. I excused myself and left after just a few bites of food, which was exactly what Li Xiaoqing wanted. While having dinner with my father, she contacted acquaintances to have photos taken and posted online, both in words and actions. Li Xiaoqing acted very intimately with my father. Those who don't know might really think they're father and daughter. On the way home, Dad asked me why I invited Li Xiaoqing to dinner. I didn't answer, just told Dad to sit back and enjoy the show. I know someone like Li Xiaoqing would definitely try every means to make people in the company believe she's the chairman's daughter and the future heir of the company. She desperately needs such a condition, so why shouldn't I just go with the flow? Some people must be lifted high before they can be brought down hard. Sure enough, the next day, the office was abuzz with gossip. Everyone was saying Li Xiaoqing was the chairman's daughter. And those trying to curry favor with her even went so far as to fetch tea, carry bags, and hand her tissues. I just watched quietly without saying a word. After work, Knox Fu was waiting at the company entrance. He seemed thinner, his eyes bloodshot. Seeing me come out, he immediately rushed over. Ren, please stop this. Okay, I'm sorry, he said. I let out a cold laugh, staring at the man I had loved for 5 years. Knox Fu, you know what? I've loved you for 5 years, all these years. I put you first, and now I realize how foolish I was. You're just not worth it. You don't understand love at all. Knox Fu tried to defend himself. Ren, I love you. Don't forget about me, about the 5 years we've shared. Hearing that he wasn't worth it, a flicker of panic flashed in Knox Fu's eyes, as if he had given nothing at all. Knox Fu, you and Thea Fu are a perfect match, believe it or not. Thea Fu will soon be in your bed. Hearing the name Thea Fu, Knox Fu frowned. Ren, how many times do I need to tell you? Thea is just my sister. If you're jealous because of this, then let me tell you, you're the one being unreasonable. I didn't want to say more. After dropping the line, there's absolutely no chance for us, I turned and walked away. Knox Fu went to the bar alone to drink, still finding the earlier conversation utterly ridiculous. Thea had always seen him as a brother, and besides, Thea was about to leave soon. The more he thought about it, the more he felt Ren Nan was being unreasonable. Bro, you're drunk, let me take you home. Seeing it was Thea Fu, Knox Fu nodded and let her support him. Thea Fu curled her lips into a smug smile. She had finally waited for this day. Brother, you should be mine, always mine. No one can take you away. Miss, the person has already been taken away by Thea Fu. Listening to the bodyguard's report, I was very satisfied. Knox Fu, I'll let you see whether your dear sister only sees you as a brother. Hey, want some big news? Room 321, the young master of the Fu group and a strange woman. The next day, Knox Fu woke up and saw Thea Fu lying beside him. His mind went blank, his eyes widened in shock, utterly devastated. How did you end up in my bed? Knox Fu roared. Thea Fu slowly woke up and, seeing Knox Fu's livid face, pretended to be wronged. Brother, last night it was you who pulled me into bed. Knox Fu was completely shattered and angrily retorted. Impossible, absolutely impossible, Thea Fu. It was you, wasn't it? You climbed into bed, didn't you? Why would you do this? We're siblings. Knox Fu was certain that he never acted out physically when drunk, and besides, he always had a responsible driver to take him home after drinking. The only possibility he could think of was Thea Fu. She did it on purpose. Seeing that she couldn't argue her way out, Thea Fu gritted her teeth and said, we're not related by blood. I'm just an adopted daughter of the Fu family. Why can't we be together? Brother, I've always liked you. It was a bolt from the blue for Knox Fu. Only at this moment did he truly understand the meaning behind Ren Nan's words. You, Thea Fu, absolutely not. I only see you as a sister. Thea Fu's eyes were red. Why is it impossible? We're not related by blood. Brother, what's done is done. Let's get married. Knox Fu stood up, his eyes filled with disgust, more than disgust. He couldn't accept the fact that Thea Fu had feelings for him. He had always treated her as a younger sister, having grown up together since childhood. How had things come to this? The moment he opened the door, reporters swarmed in like a hive of bees. Young Master Fu, could you please explain why you were with Thea Fu? Aren't you siblings? At your wedding with Miss Nan, your sister was wearing a wedding dress. Did you two already have a relationship before that? That's right. Young Master Fu. Were you just playing around with Miss Nan, or were you after the Nan family's money? Knox Fu's face turned ashen as he turned to look at Thea Fu on the bed. Thea Fu was startled by his gaze and shook her head, explaining, "No, it has nothing to do with me, brother, I didn't call them." Thea Fu's explanation seemed utterly feeble in Knox Fu's eyes, and he turned away without a second glance. The two returned home. Knox Fu's mother slapped Thea Fu across the face, cursing loudly. "You shameless woman, you wretch. After all the good food and care I've given you, how dare you harbor such thoughts?" Thea Fu was stunned by the slap, tears streaming down her face as her frail body trembled uncontrollably. She never imagined that her mother, who had always doted on her, would raise a hand against her. "What kind of trash are you, daring to climb into my son's bed? It's a good thing you're about to die, or you'd just be an eyesore." The suffocating words left Thea Fu breathless. The unfamiliar, vicious woman before her bore no resemblance to the gentle mother she remembered. "Mom, don't call me Mom, I'm not your mother, Thea Fu. I was truly blind to have loved and raised you before." Thea Fu finally saw her clearly. What did their so-called deep mother-son bond amount to compared to her precious son, Knox Fu? She could keep her when she was happy, and kick her aside when she wasn't. "Brother and I have already been intimate, Mom, please let us get married." Knox Fu glared at her fiercely. "Dream on, Thea Fu, I won't marry you." Images of Ren Nan flashed through Knox Fu's mind, her lively and adorable self, her wronged and sorrowful self. Knox Fu began to fear that Ren Nan would learn of this news, and would never want him again. "Send her abroad, Knox, you go to the Nan family and make a proper apology, we'll start preparing for the wedding with the Nan family again." A single sentence from Knox Fu caused Thea Fu's pupils to dilate abruptly as she stared at him in disbelief. "Send her abroad, ha, isn't that just abandoning her to fend for herself? The Fu family has such a cruel heart. Yes, only a prominent family like the Nans is worthy of our Fu family. As for you, get out of here immediately, don't even come back if you die, you're nothing but bad luck." In their eyes, Thea Fu was a dying person who wouldn't have much impact on them. Thea Fu sneered coldly. You want to get rid of me? Absolutely impossible, brother, I must marry you, I must." With a loud smack, another slap sent Thea Fu tumbling to the ground. "Back then, I must have been blind to bring you home, thinking a wild chicken could rise to power. Dream on, how could the Fu family's door ever let in a misshapen and ugly thing like you?" In the end, it was Knox Fu who couldn't bear it any longer and stopped his mother from continuing, having Thea Fu taken away. He never imagined Thea Fu would have such feelings for him. Recalling all the misunderstandings with Ren Nan, Knox Fu was filled with regret and fear, so he went to the Nan family to find Ren Nan, but he was already turned away at the door. The online situation wasn't suppressed, instead, it escalated further. Of course, all of this had the Nan family fueling the fire behind the scenes. "Daughter, the Fu family is utterly disgusting, it's fortunate you didn't marry into that household," Dad said to me with a face full of resentment. I smiled and replied, "Dad, there's more to it. Would you believe me if I said Knox Fu will definitely marry Thea Fu?" Dad's silence was within my expectations. Thea Fu has been scheming for so many years, she wouldn't just let it go. She must still have her deadliest move yet to play. Pregnant. As long as she was pregnant, her position as the young mistress of the Fu family would be secure. Especially since her terminal cancer diagnosis was fake to begin with. Just as expected, a month later, Thea Fu exposed a forged medical record from the Fu family hospital, showing late-stage cancer, along with a document indicating Thea Fu was 1 month pregnant. This instantly pushed the incident into the spotlight. The Fu family was thrown into complete chaos. The current online narrative is, Knox Fu slept with his unrelated adopted sister, refused to take responsibility, and deliberately forged a late-stage cancer diagnosis to leave Thea Fu to her fate. Thea Fu is pregnant, proving the adopted daughter and her brother had been involved long ago. At the Nan family wedding, Thea Fu's intentions were obvious to everyone. Poor Miss Nan, played by the Fu family for 5 years. Knox Fu dated Miss Nan during the day and her sister at night. What a messy relationship. Fortunately, Miss Nan didn't marry into the family, cutting her losses in time. As the only daughter of the Nan family, the Fu family tried to take advantage but ended up suffering the consequences. As the incident unfolded, the Fu family's businesses also began to face problems, especially the hospitals under the Fu name. People are now afraid their medical records might be falsified. Knox Fu drowned his sorrows in alcohol all day, never expecting Thea Fu to be so cunning. Now, only Thea Fu's personal clarification could salvage the Fu family's reputation. Helplessly, the Fu family agreed to marry Thea Fu, but it was merely a perfunctory formality. The day before the wedding, Knox Fu came to the Nan family to see me. I agreed to meet, and he was overjoyed, believing there was still a chance to mend things. The moment I appeared before him, Knox Fu was so moved that he tried to take my hand. I wanted to step back, to avoid him, and said bluntly, "What do you want from me? Spit it out." Knox Fu spoke in a humble tone, his eyes filled with pleading. "Ren, don't misunderstand, Thea Fu and I aren't what you think. The one I love is you, truly, it's you." I sneered. "No relationship, Knox Fu, she's pregnant, and you still say there's nothing between you." Knox Fu turned pale, still trying to explain, but I gave a faint smile and pointed behind him. "Young Master Fu, your dear sister, no, I mean your dear wife, is here." Knox Fu turned his head and saw Thea Fu, his eyes filled with disgust. "What are you doing here?" Thea Fu dropped her innocent act and roared, "Knox Fu, we're married now. I'm your wife. You're asking me what I'm doing here. Shouldn't you be the one explaining yourself?" Knox Fu shook off her hand. "I have nothing to explain." Thea Fu was furious and was about to turn her anger toward me when I smiled and said, "You're only fit to pick up what I don't want." Thea Fu stared at me with wide eyes, and I leaned in close to her ear, whispering, "So, Thea Fu, I played a big part in making this happen for you too." These words were only heard by the two of us. Thea Fu widened her eyes in shock, staring at me in disbelief. That day, someone informed her that Knox Fu was at the bar, the reporters the next day, the news online, all of it. It was all Ren Nan's doing. I turned and walked away, knowing Thea Fu would never expose any of this. After finally securing her position, she'd better cherish it. Li Shaoqing has been the center of attention lately, and everyone assumed she was the eldest daughter of the Nan family, merely hiding her identity to learn the ropes at the company. That was until the day my father publicly announced the true heir of the Nan family in front of the entire city of H. The look on Li Shaoqing's face as she stood off stage, along with the stares from everyone in the company, made her feel as if she were standing on the edge of a volcano, her feet burning with humiliation. Li Shaoqing glared at me with resentment, but I simply smiled faintly. Dealing with someone like her didn't even require me to lift a finger. Those who had been fawning over her would take care of it. Returning to the company, Li Shaoqing, who was once so glorious, now found herself in utter disarray. Countless colleagues deliberately targeted her, making every day a living hell. Those who had once curried favor with her had given her many fine gifts, all of which were now demanded back one by one, in just half a month. Li Shaoqing resigned voluntarily. Before she left, I said to her, "Cousin, some things were never meant to be yours. Why live such an exhausting life?" My words made her understand instantly. She glared at me with resentment and said, "It was you. You did this on purpose." I smiled faintly. "Deliberately what? I didn't do anything. I merely gave her a chance. The opportunity was right in front of her. How she chose was up to her." I officially took over the company, began strengthening myself, and elevated the Nan family to new heights. A year later, I became the most formidable female CEO in H City, a synonym for wealth in everyone's mouth. Meanwhile, the Fu family stagnated. After marriage, Knox Fu's neglect turned Thea Fu into a shrew, and when their child was born, it wasn't Knox Fu's at all. This point shocked me greatly. After all, Thea Fu loved Knox Fu so much, yet the child she was carrying wasn't his. Thea Fu and her child were driven out of the Fu family. The next time I saw Thea Fu was in a bar, where I spotted her cleaning the toilets. I didn't say anything and quietly left. Love may seem dazzling, but in reality, it's all just fleeting clouds. Loving oneself is the only true path. At a banquet, I saw Knox Fu, who already had someone new by his side. I heard it was the young lady from the Wang family, which didn't surprise me, given that the Fu family urgently needed partners to stabilize their position. The Wang family was the best choice. Ren, if I had made Thea Fu step down during the wedding back then, would our ending have been different? Knox Fu's tone was filled with regret. I didn't look back, took a deep breath, and said, "I'm glad you stood up for Thea Fu back then." She hadn't considered another outcome because she knew that even if she continued down that path,